Eternal capitalism. This is the idea that capitalism is the end of civilization. It is the end product of human evolution. Everything that humans have gone through for thousands of years was nothing more but to develop capitalism. And now that we have capitalism, capitalism is eternal. Capitalism cannot be affected by anything. It cannot be changed. The only thing we can do is bow down to God, the invisible hand. And if we follow the invisible hand, we will prosper. And if we go against the invisible hand, then we will suffer. We can see this absurdity in, I think, science fiction. And I think Star Wars is a good example where you have this future world with all this amazing technology where, of course, there's no reason why people should have to labor. But of course, everyone is laboring just like they do in our society, trying to put in their 40, 50 hours a week in order to survive, as if the technology that surrounds them that should make this obsolete doesn't exist. So the capitalist believes that doesn't matter how much technology there is, it's just going to go on and on and on and on and on. Capitalist apologists don't believe that economic systems are subject to our technical know-how nor the environment. And when you listen to the libertarian fanatics, they never justify their system based upon reality. They like to come up with these stupid Robinson Crusoe models where they talk about, well, if you're living on this island and you find some shit and you make some shit, don't you deserve to have the products of your labor? As if that's how we get our shit. You can pick up any piece of crap laying around like this, guitar distortion pedal or a little camera. I didn't make this. No one went around the woods and made this stuff with their own hands. It's basically made in factories that are largely becoming automated. These are not the products of individual or even group labor anymore. But that's the fucking world that the capitalism apologist lives in, where all justifications for everything is boiled down to you deserve to own the products of your labor. As if who gives a fuck about reality? Because reality doesn't matter. And we know that the capitalism apologists are full of shit and they have these stupid models, and of course, they don't believe that technological progress means anything. They actually believe that capitalism is like the default natural order of the universe. And it must be with some confusion that they wonder why it is that cave people didn't go around developing a banking system in capitalism, you know, thousands and thousands of years before the advent of industrialization. They must be very confused by it. And what's really strange about the capitalism apologist is that they believe that capitalism can supersede the laws of nature. So if capitalism will take up more resources than the planet Earth will provide, we just need to push on with capitalism because capitalism is the end of history and we can have infinite growth on a finite planet. This is the insanity of the capitalism apologist. In fact, when I brought this up recently on Facebook with a capitalism apologist about how we can't have infinite growth on a finite planet and we need to live in harmony with nature, she actually wrote back that when she was in the Soviet Union, the air smelled bad, and when she got off the airport to JFK, the air smelled better. So I guess therefore we can have infinite growth on a finite planet because the United States is better than the Soviet Union. This is the rationale of the fucking capitalism apologist. Now, we all know the conservatives are the capitalism apologists, whether it's the Ron Paul drone or these stupid Trump people. But what about today's fucking liberal? What about the identity politics obsessed person who wants to talk about women's rights and gay rights and black rights and all this crap? What about the social justice warrior? What is their position on capitalism? Well, if you really think about it, today's fake identity politic obsessed social justice warrior bullshit fraud of a liberal fully believes in capitalism. They believe capitalism is the perfect system, the end of human civilization. We must all bow down before capitalism. Capitalism will never change. Humanity will never evolve a better economic system. And furthermore, to challenge capitalism is heresy. Furthermore, they believe that capitalism can supersede the natural laws of the universe, and we can continue going on with a infinite growth model on a finite planet, and fuck the planet and fuck resource depletion. Why? Because they don't really challenge capitalism. If they actually challenge capitalism, maybe I would say otherwise. What is the social justice warrior position? That capitalism is perfect and takes care of all human needs. All we need to do is purge society of discrimination. The social justice warrior also believes that if you are a white man, you are living in a utopia and you must have several millions of dollars worth of wealth, and you probably have some black slaves at home bowing down before you. Because I really don't know what else they can possibly believe. That's almost the stupidity that comes out of the fake left at this point. And yes, I'm sure that's rambling on to hyperbole, but I can guarantee you, as a white man, you do not own slaves. You do not have people bowing down before you, and people do not just give you money and you are not automatically set out with $10 million in the bank account because you're white and have a penis. That is just about the stupidest thing ever. But if you are one of these social justice warrior types and you listen to all their crap, you must come away with that delusion. I mean, like, really, if you're an alien from another planet and you would drop down to like a college campus or whatever, or you start reading stuff online about all this discrimination, how white men have all this amazing power and influence and discriminate against everyone else, and they are the evil scum of the world who must somehow be eliminated, and once we put down the white man and everyone else gets the equal share of the pie, we will live in utopia. You must believe that white men suddenly are imbued with all this amazing wealth and power. It's like, what fucking world are you living in? This is stupid. This social justice warrior delusion that everyone could live like a white man if only we can get rid of discrimination. And then if you look at how most white men are living, it's like you're just another working class person. There's no special thing that you get for being a white man. This whole thing is fucking stupid. The bottom line is, are you going to question capitalism or are you not? And if you are not questioning capitalism, you are not a liberal, you are not on the left, you are not a revolutionary, you are a counter revolutionary cancer to the true left. Now, if we look at these recent things happening on the left, like from besides people calling out Trump for being a fascist or whatever, no basis in reality. The tyranny of the future is inverted totalitarianism where corporations own everything. The tyranny of the future is not a personality cult around a Hitler or Stalin-like figure. There's no basis for that whatsoever. Trump will serve his 8 years in office and then he will be gone. He's not creating a fascist empire out of himself. But the fake left social justice warrior, identity politics freak just needs to call people out as being a fascist or being a white supremacist or whatever, as if Trump is now in office and wants to pass laws that openly discriminate against people because they're white. Like all of a sudden we're going to have segregated bathrooms or whatever. Of course, the social justice warrior probably would want that. They want to create a black bathroom as a safe space for them. And that's supposed to be a liberal? That's not a fucking liberal. That's a fucking moron. That's fucking shit. That's what it seems that we're going to calm down to. So the new left, fighting for more and more segregation and bullshit safe spaces. That's not being a liberal. That's being a fucking idiot. Okay. If you are not against capitalism, then you're not a liberal. If you do not believe in questioning it, then you're not a liberal. And what these stupid identity politics people do is they blab on endlessly about bullshit issues that don't fucking mean anything. And if you actually question capitalism to them, they get pissed off, and they will be just as angry with the anti-capitalistic true liberal as the conservatives are. That's what people don't understand. If you actually look at socialism, work within a socialist group or any other group that challenges capitalism, I'm not even a socialist myself, but between being in the socialist groups in the past and zeitgeist movement, I am very much aware that if you talk to these radical, revolutionary liberals about anti-capitalism, they just get totally pissed off at you. Okay, let's look at this Black Lives Matter shit. While we can honor the Black Lives Matter as an expression of anger at oppression going on from the system in place and how it suppresses certain populations. It is intellectually void. It has no analysis of police brutality or prison populations whatsoever. There are some groups that splintered off that try to do that, but what Black Lives Matter is known for is people running out into the freeway and blocking traffic in the neighborhoods that are being suppressed by police. Like, that makes a lot of sense. Real smart. I realized Black Lives Matter was bullshit right from the start when I was reading articles about how they were going to areas of white power and disrupting it, meaning restaurants. Because that's fucking stupid, because if a black person can't go to a restaurant and order food, I didn't know that that was the way we were living. I didn't know we were living in this segregation. But that's the stupidity of Black Lives Matter. Now, if someone's poor and they're not educated and they're angry at the system, I could understand them following along with this. But what happens is you get all these stupid social justice warrior types who just want to tag along like this is what they should be doing. But as bad as the Black Lives Matter thing is, and the final thing that I can't say about Black Lives Matter, and I made videos about this years ago, is that racism is simply not sufficient to understand police brutality and the prison industrial complex. It just isn't sufficient because police will beat up white people and prison white people and blah, 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 blah. So therefore, your theory fails. Your theory of police brutality fails. You don't even state your theory. Your theory is just that police are racist and we just have to get rid of racism. That's not a social movement. That's not activism. That's just stupid. Okay, so then we get this crap like the Women's March. What the fuck is that? I mean, I bet you could go look at different societies all over the world for the past thousands and years, and except for small groups that were living in pre-agrarian, systems, women have more rights and freedom in the Western world today than any other place. It's just women marching because women marching, and that's it. So instead of challenging capitalism, we have a women's rights march. What rights are they marching for? I don't know. What, abortion? Well, if you want to have a fucking abortion march, then just call it a fucking abortion march. It's not that is a women's march. All this bullshit crap. What kind of garbage is that? You don't even know what the fuck you're doing. Great. So you go out and you march for women's rights, which is this vague thing that doesn't mean anything because anyone can make up in their own head what the fuck it is. And where's your analysis of of society? Where's your analysis of capitalism? You don't have an analysis of capitalism except to back up the idea that capitalism is the eternal perfect system that humanity must live under for forever. And the only problem with capitalism is that women are being discriminated against. And we just get rid of the discrimination against women and make them equal to men. Men, as if men aren't being oppressed by capitalism. Well, any fucking socialist will know that the whole working class is being oppressed so that the people at the very top can't collect surplus value until we're going to get to a point where just a few people own everything in the world and everyone has to work under them. But I guess that's fine for the people at the Women's March because women in oppression. So look, all this shit, whether you're talking about racism, whether you're talking about women's oppression, whether you're talking about homosexuality, whether you're talking about Islamophobia, or whatever this shit, it's all bullshit because you're not analyzing the socioeconomic system. And I'm totally fucking sick of this. These people are a cancer to the left. If you are a true revolutionary, if you are a whether you're a socialist, whether you're an anarchist, whether you want to advocate for a resource-based economy, whatever positive change you want to advocate for in terms of economics, if that's your position, then these identity politics, social justice warrior freaks are your enemy because they are here to go into your place and to say capitalism is perfect. Don't fight against it. Let's go have a fucking march for black people or gay rights or whatever. This is stupid. We don't have white people problems and black people problems and gay people problems and Islam people problems. We have their people problems. Why don't these stupid fucking people get it? Why is it that any stupid fucking issue that comes across these people's faces they can only analyze within the confines of identity politics? So if millions of people are being locked up in prison for a phony war on drugs in order for corporations to make profit, why don't they just say this is a bogus war on drugs and the police are being indoctrinated into discriminating against poor people to lock them up? Why don't they just say that? No, instead they have to come up with this whole race theory. which fails because the police are going after white people also and people of other quote unquote races. Races don't even fucking exist. That's the problem. Any stupid problem they have to analyze as this is a woman's thing and this is a black person's thing, that this is a gay person's thing. You're not even looking at society. You're not looking at economics. You don't have a theory of economics. You don't have a theory of politics. And they're making these stupid videos one after another saying the same thing. These people do not have a theory of anything. They are an absolute cancer on the left. And their ideology that capitalism is perfect and eternal and will just work great if we got rid of discrimination is fucking shit. It has to be squashed out of the left. These people are fake left. That's what it gets down to. And I don't care if someone spends 20 hours a day talking on Facebook about their bullshit revolution, going to all of these protests, making up stupid memes about gay people and all this other shit and black people and women and all this. It doesn't matter how much time and dedication they have to. If their ideology is fucking shit, your ideology is fucking shit. These people are inherently anti-revolutionary because when it comes down to it, they believe completely in capitalism. They will defend capitalism. If you attack capitalism, they go after you. They get pissed off at you. Because the last, why? Because let's say you're obsessed with the idea that everything is racism and black people are being held down because of racism. If you then explain, well, machines are taking away jobs and all the wealth is going to the top 1%, all of a sudden that person has to realize it's not all about racism, it's about working class, appropriation of wealth from the working class, and all of a sudden they lose their whole racism garbage. So they want to hold on to that because now they give themselves the identity of this anti-racist person. That the people they marry themselves to not just their identities, but to their causes. And when you attack their causes, it's like you're attacking them. I mean, I've been told by people, for example, the Zeitgeist movement is negative, and that we just need to protest, I don't know, homophobia and all this. This is what people tell me. They're the ones who are fucking negative because they don't see any possible future except this eternal protest against capitalism. They don't see movement in history. This is the real delusion that capitalism is just going to go on and on and on as if it can. And I've argued with socialists about this. Socialists, like in the International Socialist Organization, who they're not even true socialists because they don't even believe in having ever socialism. They don't believe in fighting for socialism, and they're very open about this. They just believe in internally fighting for the working class to have a bigger piece of the pie into capitalism. And there is a delusional belief that capitalism can go on forever. Well, feudalism didn't go on forever, and capitalism certainly isn't. It will be torn down by its internal contradictions. How are you supposed to be a leftist revolutionary if you don't believe in capitalism has internal contradictions? You don't think machines taking away people's jobs is a contradiction? You don't think environmental degradation is a contradiction in capitalism? You don't think that this belief in using infinite resources is an internal contradiction of capitalism? You think we just have to get rid of some discrimination? I just saw like the stupidest thing the other day from Robert Kennedy about how the best system for the environment is capitalism. It's capitalism, as if he compared it to another system. He didn't even compare capitalism to another system. It's just capitalism is the best system as long as the capitalists pay for the environmental degradation. Even though the capitalists are incentivized to do everything they possibly can to not pay for the environmental degradation. So he just proposes that we create this massive government apparatus to make the corporations pay for that. But how is that going to happen when the corporations have all this money and it's part of capitalism for them to buy government so government doesn't come down against them? So it's just stupid bullshit stuff. People don't want to face reality. There's very few out there who have the guts to say the problem is capitalism. Even Chris Hedges doesn't come out against capitalism. He kind of seems to be aware that capitalism is a problem, but when it comes down to it, he just wants to run back to identity politics and then talk about how we can have different types of capitalism other than the kleptocracy. Of course, if someone is a socialist or is a Marxist, they should know that Marx very clearly made the argument that the problem is commodity production for the exchange of money values and not use values, and as soon as you have that, you start the whole process of exploitation. But that is a bit of a tangent. But I don't believe that we're going to have different types of capitalism. Capitalism does what capitalism does, and it just moves wealth to the people at the top who are collecting surplus value. But I guess that's fine if people want to go protest homophobia or whatever. And then all the stupid Islam stuff, as if Obama wasn't bombing 7 Muslim nations anyway, as if there aren't plenty of other countries where Muslims can't come in anyway. It's not even a ban against Muslims. But this is what the left is up in arms about. Like, all of a sudden, Obama could kill all the Muslims he wants. It doesn't matter. But Trump puts on some immigration ban and the whole world's going to go to hell. Well, a bunch of shit. Well, you fucking fake liberals, you're fucking full of shit, and I'm sick of you. You are a total joke and a laughing stock. And what you fucking social justice warriors need to do is not take my word for it. If any of you people are listening to this, what you need to do is go on YouTube and look at what the conservatives on the right wing are saying about you social justice warrior identity politics freaks, and you have to put aside your your blind spots and just think objectively about the critiques that the right is making against you, and then just think about how the right takes their critique against the social justice warrior and warps that into a critique against socialism or a critique against anti-capitalism. Okay, this is it. There's my 21-minute rant. If you still believe that we can have identity politics and anti-capitalism mixed up together, then just fuck you. You can't. Because the identity politics is based upon the idea that capitalism is perfect as long as we get rid of the discrimination. The belief that capitalism is perfect cannot be a foundation for our anti-capitalistic movement. That's it. If you believe white men have all this shit and we just have to give a bigger piece of the pie to the black person, the gay person, and women, then you are pro-capitalism. You believe capitalism works for the white person. So therefore, you cannot be a revolutionary. You cannot be a liberal. You cannot be a socialist. You cannot be someone who's even advocating for an RBE. You are simply an idiot who's playing into the hands of the ruling class, coming up with another bullshit thing to blab on about. Okay, bye.